Welcome to IAG Talks, where we bring you inspired stories and conversations with remarkable individuals making a difference in their field. Today, we have a truly exceptional guest with us, Amy Davis, a seasoned professional and the Director of Advocacy for IAG. With an impressive 24 years of experience in the field, Amy's journey is a testament to the transformative power of passion and dedication. Amy holds a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, specializing in applied behavior analysis, showcasing her commitment to understanding and positively influencing human behavior. What makes Amy's story even more captivating is her unconventional entry into the field. Originally considering a temporary stop during a job transition, Amy quickly found her calling and fell in love with the work. Starting as a direct support professional, she has tirelessly worked her way up the ranks, leaving a trail of changed lives and impactful experiences along the way. Join us as we delve into Amy's journey, exploring the insights that she has gained over the years and the profound impact she continues to make as the Director of Advocacy at IAG. Amy, I'm so excited for you to be here today with us. With you being the Director of Advocacy, I know that you have done such amazing work throughout the agency and with the people that we support, so thank you so much. Can you just shed a little bit of light on what advocacy is?
I would say primarily advocacy is all about choices. We advocate for ourselves every day in the choices we make, and it goes hand in hand with education. Um, you know, Allowing people to express, what causes they believe in, what areas they want to support, and it can be just so broad. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally get that. There's so many different groups and labels that we could put on ourselves that we identify with that can, go out in different tangents on things that we care about and are passionate for. You mentioned choices, which is great because, we all want autonomy in our lives. And I know it's something, even as a parent, I struggle with because it's like, how much autonomy do you give to your children?
Mhm.
So, when with choices being really important, how do you feel you help people within the disability communicate? How do you feel that you help people within the disability community self-advocate for themselves?
Like I said, it goes back to, awareness. You can't advocate for something if you're not aware of what it represents. So it's really getting out there, exploring the community, seeing what the community needs are, and just becoming involved because ultimately, it's all about that inclusion. And I know there's emails. I think most individuals in support, when we talk about advocacy, one of the most important areas or the most important to them that comes up is volunteer work. We do a lot of research with volunteer work. We see what the community needs are. We partner with other organizations because they, most people in support, they have a level of empathy that others do not. They understand what it feels like to have all of these barriers and these struggles. So when they see another marginalized group, and they, actually are educated and they learn what those problems are within our own community, they want to help out so much.
Yeah, the level of empathy with people with disabilities is profound. It truly
Mhm.
is beautiful. I want to take it back a step to choices again, because I think if one, you don't have a disability or potentially, don't have somebody in your life that has a disability, there's a lot of choices that may get overlooked.
Mhm.
So things that we take for granted every day are, we have all of these choices that we can make, and people with disabilities have limitations on the
Mhm.
choices that they can make for whatever reasons that it can be. So I think that the need for self advocacy is so high, especially amongst that community, to say, to have control over how they want to spend their time, the things that they want to do in their day. What are some things from a self-advocacy standpoint do you think, just like throughout the day, that you empower people to make decisions on?
I would say, I mean, it starts from the minute you wake up. Do I want to take a shower right when I wake up? Do I want to do it later? What do I want to have for breakfast? What do I want to wear? Where do I want to go today? And on that standpoint, and like you said, it's easy to overlook or take for granted those choices that we make every day. And make sure those are implemented with the people in support that we're helping or we're supporting in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah. How does IAG support staff so that they can empower the people that they support?
I would say a lot of staff training, and bringing awareness, whether that's, with staff, with community members, is bringing awareness. Like, these are the struggles that this person has. And really just focus on positives. Like, because it's not all about, let's take the disability away. And I know we had spoke before, like I had an individual that we were looking at different causes, because of course we jump on, for disability rights, and um, we do a lot of advocacy for that. Well, she had told me, well, excuse me, she said, I am a Black woman with a disability. Isn't that three things? And it's like, of course, absolutely, that is three things. So let's explore these options. It doesn't, so, there's another choice. It's not me saying, okay, we're going to stick to just, becoming involved in these disability groups. Of course, we're involved, but there's, more that defines that person. They
Yeah,
care more about just that.
yeah, absolutely. And I want to say, like, so as somebody that teaches safety care, and safety care is how best to support people in a way that is respectful and gives them dignity, but also keeps them safe. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I really love about the curriculum is that you have to play both roles. And I
Yeah,
think that when you have somebody step into the shoes of somebody that they are also supporting, it really humanizes, not that it doesn't,
mm-hmm.
before, but it really gives you a whole different perspective of, wow, this is how, I'm getting talked to. This is how, somebody is potentially guiding me. This is how, maybe this person is frustrated and they don't know how to articulate something. So I feel like through the education that IAG offers and programs like safety care, it really helps to build on the compassion that even probably brought them to the fields in the first place.
Absolutely. And I think you'll see with any, people that have been, any person that has been in the field, any long timers, as we would call them, they all display that level of compassion. Um, and just learning about that person, like you said, with safety care, behavior is, typically always some sort of communication, whether we perceive it as positive or negative. So it's, working with the staff, working, as a team, and then just really looking at what, positive reinforcement we can give that person. And what training we can give that person, that is individualized, because that's not, one fits all. It's, has to be very, and so I think IAG does a very good job at really like looking at all the whys and
Yeah,
trying to figure out.
I agree. And I also love the history of
Mhm.
IAG and how it came to be, and all the stories that we
Mhm.
get to hear along the way, the trauma, and seeing how people are, coming out on the other side. And I think that that ties deeply into autonomy, self-advocacy, and just it really does take a village. So everyone being on board to advocate and just love on those individuals that truly needs a little bit more support.
Mhm.
Is there something that sticks out, or can you share any moments that you feel someone really benefited, or that you've seen somebody like sprout from advocacy?
Yeah, I would say, I throughout. the years, I have seen people where really came in at a more of a high level situation or a high risk situation. And here we are, 15 years later, and this is somebody that is actively volunteering, is actively participating in the community, might go and meet legislators with us. Like, so it's, I would say that there's, there's a lot of that, and especially agency wide. It just, takes somebody to, it takes all of us just to really look at what that person's dealt with, their history, and, ways to support them that is individualized, enables choice and
Mhm.
really looks at what they want to do and not what we want them to do.
Do you So I know one of the highlights of the things that I get to do is putting together the magazine where I get to see highlights from different regions and pictures and things like that. Um, from your region, there were a couple of things that I noticed that stood out that I thought were so neat. And if you could just touch on open mic and even the opportunity to maybe like sing the anthem at the game, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so definitely. So part of, open mic night, we do, we go to this like coffee shop or lounge. They have it, uh, you know, um, with it's the thing I like about that, it is not disability related. We are walking in as members of the community. We are participating with everyone else, and there is so much support there because everybody's there to do the same thing. They're trying to express themselves through, poetry and spoken word. Um, so that to me is a lot of fun. And going back to the baseball game, so yes, we are members of Disability Coalition, to where we do different awareness events, and that was a baseball game. And so you have person in support who has an amazing voice, got to sing the national anthem. Um, and yeah, doing things like that, just trying to schedule, partner with other organizations. So, we look at it as a whole because, it's powered by numbers. So,
Absolutely. And I think that it's so important, like you mentioned with the open mic, the community integration. It's not, advocacy isn't about creating compartmentalized environments for people with disabilities to be supported. It is how do we all come together in an inclusive way so that everybody is feeling supported. So thank you for mentioning that. What do you think as a community people can do to help advocate and be allies?
once again, I think this goes back to awareness, because if you don't know that there is a problem, then how can you properly advocate? So just, showing people to be mindful, um, really reaching out to even like local officials. So, for example, working with an individual that relies on public transportation. Um, she comes in one day. I fell on my way to the bus stop. The sidewalk was broken, yada yada. So, next step, okay, let's call the city. This is advocacy, like, and bringing things like awareness like that, because it might not, some people that could just, jump over the sidewalk or, walk around, it's they're not going to really take that as a big deal. But when it affects somebody's mobility or their ability to um, just, be independent in the community, then, those are those moments. So I think every moment is a teaching moment when things like that arise.
Absolutely. And that brings up like accessibility
Hmm.
and ableism and things that we take for granted or just don't, it's not even within our awareness to think of because it's not affecting us. So kind of out of sight, out of mind. And I think that's a great example with the bus. When it comes to bathrooms, when it comes to door sizes, with wheelchairs, when it comes to education. I mean, the list can go on when it comes to accessibility. I know that we serve people that can't see
Hmm.
or that are hard of hearing. And I think another challenge comes when, not everybody that has a disability looks like they have a disability.
Exactly.
So just being a compassionate and kind person to everybody and, giving everyone the benefit of the doubt that everyone is doing their best
Mhm.
is so important.
How many, like going back to that, like, that's not something physically visible. Mental illness is not something physically visible. And with, people in support, often you'll have that diagnosis. Um, so yeah, absolutely, that it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're somebody in a wheelchair or, you're visually impaired. There's such a broad spectrum of disabilities out there and how they're perceived by the public. And so that, I keep going back to that awareness is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything you want to share about policy when it comes to the people that we support, people with disabilities?
Yeah, I mean, we are always, looking at policy. How is this going to affect us? And there is, just so much legislation out there. So we do go through what's most important. I know most recently is in the state of Illinois, we are looking at a drastic decrease in hours. Oh, so what that equates to is almost a 10% decrease and direct support professionals across the state. And when you look at, the level of supports that some individuals might need to integrate into the community, um, that's one thing that we are strongly advocating for right now. We are trying to bring awareness to this because, I completely understand if, when legislators go into a session, they are hit with so many different things um, to really, what does that mean and how does that affect us? So I think it's important that they um, hear from individuals in support, like, this is going to affect my ability to go into the community or to be, able to make these choices throughout the day. It affects families. It affects, actual direct support workers. Because if we're reducing the workforce, that means somebody's having, someone's workload is increasing. And after, we've seen coming out of COVID, there was such a DSP crisis. Like I'm sure everybody has, heard about that. Um,
Can we
and it's
pause for 1 second? Can you just share what a direct service professional does in case somebody doesn't know what a DSP means or what that job entails?
sure right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So a direct support professional are pretty much the heart and soul of what we do. Um, Direct support professionals often are not only do they come in, do they work a shift, but they are almost like family, especially because some individuals don't have families, that DSPs are the ones that they're going to spend Christmas with or Thanksgiving with often, or whatever holiday they might celebrate. They're there, they, assist with hygiene needs as needed. They assist with cooking, cleaning, community integration. Um, so, primarily they, like I said, are the heart and soul of everything. And, we depend on them for to ensure that these people have the best quality of life.
And so now if they're decreasing the budget and there's a 10% cut, this will affect the quality of care and then it'll also affect the DSPs, I'm sure. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely a scary thought. Um, just to kind of recap on that. So I know there's been committees meeting about this, and like redistribution was requested. Um, with that being said, like with families and people in support, there is that loss of hours. So of course, if a person says I have this many hours to where I have this DSP to support me and now it's being dropped, of course it's going to affect their daily lives. The worry on families.
right.
um
Well, and like you said, it'll affect their choices. So it might take
Mhm.
away the opportunity to go volunteer somewhere that they really love going, or the opportunity to attend an open mic,
Mhm.
or, the opportunities to have that autonomy that we've talked about since the beginning that everyone deserves. And um, I think when they, like you said, when they do these budget cuts, they just don't realize how important DSPs are. Like they are integral to the foundation of social service industry.
Right. And it correlates directly, I believe, with individual rights, because we talk about rights, right? I have rights, you have rights, and we know that what that means to us, right? And the whole, big picture, individuals with disabilities have the same rights as we do. So if I want to get up in the morning and I want to go out to breakfast, or I want to sleep in, or, just any of those choices that we take for granted, their rights mean just as much, and and that I think people tend to disregard that. They're like, okay, well, um, I don't know where I was going with that. I completely lost my train of thought.
Oh, that's okay. All right, so let's talk about community when it comes to people with disabilities. So like in our pre-talk, we were talking about volunteerism and partnership. So what is, and I would think another thing to add would be employment,
Yeah,
because, when we're talking about ways that we can help people, give them a job, give them an opportunity, you know?
right.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and then you could just add that stuff. So when it comes to community and, with these cuts and people feeling a little bit more limited in what they can do, what can the community do? Like obviously they could call legislators and they can, share their frustration about what's going on with this budget cut. However, what are things that they have immediate control over that they can help with?
Um, Volunteer. Volunteering is a great way to give back to the community. Individuals we have in support love volunteering. Um, and we'll tend to, we do a lot of research on volunteering. What are the community needs? Because they have, let me see, we allow them that choice of what they just feel, what causes feel right to them. We volunteer with, a variety of organizations. And just depends. It might be a one time, okay, this is a need for this day. We're going to help at a food pantry or a distribution, or, we volunteered at Pride. We have done different things with World Relief as far as since we had such an influx of refugees come to our area. And these are the type of things to partner, because we're all separated. Like, okay, we have this disability rights group, we have this you know refugee rights group. Everybody's advocating for different things. So I think that it's important to partner with these so that we can stand up for each other. Um, that was
Yeah,
really cool.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that better together is definitely the way to go, because we can break up into all of these subgenres, subcategories of different things. But when we look at it, it really does boil down to basic human rights and civil
Exactly.
rights. So,
Just as a community, I mean, we have a moral obligation, I feel, to advocate for all of these groups. So
yeah, absolutely. And I love how you just mentioned, like everybody is so multifaceted, from culture to religion to disability to ability, the
mhm.
arts and talents and things like that. So definitely I love the idea and the concept of coming together. And I think also one of the things is, so I know that the people that we support really love volunteering. What about people that would love to volunteer to learn more? Do you think like what, and maybe we can offer some links or something later as far as like resources, but is that something, like if somebody wants to learn more about people with disabilities in the community, like what ways would you tell them to volunteer, or like what tips do you have to help them with that?
Or just show up at local community events. A lot of times that's how, we network, we get to know these other causes. So it's like, hey, what are you doing? Okay, well, we're, going, advocating for this and we're advocating for this. So it's so I think the best relationships that we've built has actually just been going out and doing it and really just networking, talking to people, bringing that awareness of what we represent and what we want to accomplish, and then hearing their stories as well. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I love that. And I think so. My takeaway as we wrap this up is providing opportunities to be part of the larger community is the best way that an outside person can be an ally and help advocate for somebody with a disability, offering volunteer opportunities, offering employment, friendship, integration, inviting to events, not making assumptions that they won't like it, they can't attend. Just everyone likes to be invited and to be felt like they are a part of something bigger.
mhm.
Um, so on that note, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I can't think of anything at this time.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Amy. You have been so wonderful, and I look forward to having you on here again.
All righty, well, thank you.
Thanks.